Welcome to the Seshadris. Shashi, you've brought a special guest today. Well, every month is special, but today I am sat in front of the co-founders of Skewb. So this is a very exciting day for me. Welcome, Indu.
Thank you for having me, Jess.
You're so welcome. On behalf of Shashi and I, we welcome
Before we started,
you.
you said something about a thorn between two roses. Was I
said-
the thorn?
Oh, wait, yeah,
Was I the thorn?
I said that without thinking about the context. I said you were the rose between two thorns.
Oh, is that what he said?
That's what I said.
I thought it started off with two roses and a thorn. So I thought, oh, well, that was...
I'm the rose. You could be the
Feedback.
thorn.
I think I said you were a rose.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Good. No, it's
It changes the narrative.
always
Depending
good
on
to clarify at the start.
There's roses and thorns in this
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Excellent.
So obviously our values are very important to us at Skewb. It's the foundations of which this company was built on. It's one of the first things you see when you walk in the building. A nice starting point would be to know your personal work values that you two have always held true to throughout your careers. I think it's quite interesting that your careers have always been intertwined in some way
Always.
since the day that you met. And I think when you are drawn to a person, it is not just who they are on a personal level, but it's also who they are on a professional level as well. Why are you laughing?
I'm just trying to see how deep you're going with this.
I'm going very deep
Whether
for the
there's
first
an opportunity
question.
for us to speak at all.
Okay.
Or you're going deep, and then... No, keep going. Let me not stop.
So the foundations, Shashi.
It's very reflective, Jess, because I'm thinking, did I think so much 25 years back?
Probably
with
not.
Things now, but keep going. I love you to finish.
So the values that you've held true to throughout your careers. Indu, why don't we start with you?
That's good. Put me on the spot. So you just made it very complicated initially saying going deep, but that's why.
She got away from it because she knew I'll ask her a question when I kick.
Yeah. Well, I think this is where the value of being simple, the simplicity comes to the forefront. Don't make things complicated. Let's just keep it very simple. And this is what I have always felt. You know, when there is a person sitting right next to me, I'd rather talk to them rather than sending them emails or Teams message. I'll rather pick a phone and speak to somebody who's not on site. So keeping it simple, but that's not always the case. Things do get complicated. But yeah, foundation for me has always been keep it simple.
Shashi, what about you?
I think for me, it is working hard and putting your effort into it. My simple belief is be in control of your destiny. Whether it is success or whether it is failure, whether it is good, it is bad. What I don't want ever in my life is to say to someone, oh, I didn't get that done because someone else let me down. I think that for me is non-negotiable. So I'm happy to fail. I'm happy for some things to not work, but I want to be in control of my destiny. And I own that destiny. So it is not one where, people can get intertwined with it and people can bring their ambitions to it and people can bring their journeys to it. Absolutely, it's welcome. But there are some bits around that desire and that ambition and that push and that destiny, which I will not blame anyone if it doesn't work out. If it works out, then everyone carries the success with it. But I think that is one that is, that stays very true with me.
Yeah. And I think that's such a big part of when you set up your own business, that if you have a fear of failure, it's never going to work. You've got to go all or nothing into it. Yeah. I know we said we wouldn't be too reflective in this podcast, but Indu, can you remember some of those initial conversations around creating a company? Maybe it wasn't called Skewb at that time, but what it would look like and what it would be.
Yeah, I think Shashi has mentioned this many times. This company was born out of necessity, which was the case for us as a family as well. When there is a transition between the old company to probably nothing, we were wondering what to do. And then this idea of kind of Skewb originated from. But I do remember we talking a lot around what to do going forward, whether because I was predominantly at home looking after the kids. So whether Shashi should go and work for another company or should we do something of our own. So so I think that's that sort of a thought process we had, but we had a lot of discussions around it, and we said, let's just try, there's nothing to lose. I mean, there is lots to lose, but in terms of we thought, okay, if not, I was very confident that Shashi would definitely find another job. So that was never in my head space that a whole family would be starved.
Yeah.
Till like that.
Because obviously you had two small children.
Young children and a mortgage to pay and all those things, school fees to pay. So there's a lot of responsibilities. But we were almost sure that, I was very sure that Shashi would definitely find a job. So, but why not try? We had a little bit of savings. So why don't we live off that and then see whether we can
little bit of savings and a large amount of debt.
Yeah. I would not get to that point. So it's just
then savings.
So that's how we started. That idea kicked off from there, and that's origin. Simple as that again.
What is it about Shashi? And I feel like there is something where everyone who has joined Skewb, when you talk to people, from Bob Murray, Vince, Tony, there was never a doubt in their mind that the company would not do well. Was it the same for you? And what is it about Shashi that makes you think that?
Yeah, because 25 years back when I met Shashi, he was as hardworking and as dedicated as I'm seeing him now. In fact, now he's more driven because there is more families to look after and more responsibilities towards clients and getting that delivery sorted and, looking for new business and et cetera. But he always had a very, very strong work ethic. And from as far as I can remember, because I met him 1 year since he started his job back in 2000, I always found him much ahead of his peers. That's one thing I can confidently say. And he had that respect, to be honest, because of his work ethic. And he was always the one that the higher ups used to go to get when there is a client visit or when there is something, presentations to be organized, because he's very clinical and he will get the job done. So as we joined, like a bunch of me, our lovely Kezat, we are all in the same batch that joined Wipro in 2000. And we all used to work with him or under him. And we always knew he was different to everybody else around us. So, I think that continues even now. But one thing I would say is that as a family, so eventually when we kind of progressed on to creating a family, because he was so driven and he was really working crazy hours and stuff like that, always one person in the family had to compromise. And in our case, it was me, because I was enjoying looking after the kids, sitting at home, doing absolutely nothing other than looking after kids and the house. But he couldn't have done that without that support. Because we ourselves, we have to sometimes give a pat on our back, because we brought up 2 kids in a country where we didn't have any support, we didn't have any family, we didn't have a wide amount of friends. So it was all us. So there is not even a day I can remember where I left my kids with somebody and gone out for something. And same with Shashi. So so that's what made us very reliant on each other. So honestly speaking, we don't need, we can survive just by us. We don't need, in terms of a family support I'm talking about, not in terms of a business. Of course, we have our friends and our colleagues who really, we need them. But in terms of a family life, I think we were quite self-sufficient. So that kind of put the cornerstone as to, if we can sort that, we can sort something bigger as well, sort of. So that's where it kicked off. But going back, he was very driven. So I know tomorrow if I sit at work, also sit at home, I know that Shashi would take Skewb ahead.
Yeah. And leading a business doesn't come without its challenges and setbacks. How have you handled some of those challenges along the way as co-founder and as husband and wife?
Yeah, I think you have to dig deep through it, isn't it, Jess? So I think the points which Indu said are very true, because you have to work hard, right? Nothing comes easy. So you have to put your effort in, and it is not about whether it's a company you set up or not. I think it's one life we have, and when you have one life, you just got to make the most of it, right? Especially if I want to make my movie and this and that and all of that. I'm 46 now, and I can't waste my time in the doing trivial stuff and breaking my head on small things. So I think that journey to the next stage has to be fast. It's got to be fast paced. So I think that's one. Second is, when you look at challenges and setbacks, there are umpteen. If we talk about things that have worked and everything else, but it takes a lot of time to make things happen. So we talk about the Ignite deal that we've got with Cadent, which is a very strong partnership deal. I think the seeds for it were sown 12 months back, 14 months back. It's gone through so many ups and downs, culminated with big moments like 6th of November when the whole Cadent exec were here. And still it has taken another 5 months before it landed. So the key virtue there for me is perseverance and focus. Yeah, so I'm extremely focused. Once I think I need something, I will get it done. Hook or crook. I never believe in something just dropping in the lap.
Yeah.
When it does happen, then you got to be very thankful and grateful. But it doesn't come just like that. So I think perseverance and focus is very vital. Second is, you have to look through parallel paths. You can't just be on one road. It's like, take the M40, right? You can't forever be thinking M40 will be open, so you'll get from A to B in 30 minutes. You've got to, every morning, just have the discipline to say, well, okay, what does the sat-nav say? What is it saying? Has anything happened that should not happen, right? What's your radar saying? Every morning for me is very religiously a radar check. Very quickly, right? 15 minutes.
I'm the person who gets stuck in the traffic every day.
No, but you got to do a proper radar check.
Yeah.
So that radar check for me is things like, has anything happened that should not happen? Has any trigger movement happened that should not happen? Have I seen any of my clients say or do something that I wouldn't expect them to do? Have any of my Skewbers done something that I wouldn't expect them to do? Are there any implied movements? Are there any explicit movements? It's a 360-degree radar check every morning, 7 days of the week, including a Saturday and a Sunday, including things like who posts what on LinkedIn, who likes what on LinkedIn, because you get a pattern. So I'm very hot on that radar check and a pattern piece, because those are the things that keeps you ahead of the game. Now, and then the third bit is, you got to be thinking about solutioning. So you've got to know your team, what brings the best out of them, and then be absolutely determined about it and push them when they are not pushing themselves to make it happen. I'm absolutely a firm believer in that. Is I will push, and I will push because many a times, if the self-awareness is not there that one can achieve better things, then my job is to push and make that happen, and equally play to people's strengths, not throw them in something that is not their strength, but absolutely be pushy about it, because as we scale, we've got to be determined about that. Now, these three things are exactly the three things that you apply when you have a challenge or a failure, and it's exactly the three things you apply when you want to grow. So the essence for me is, whether it's a challenge or a failure or an opportunity, you always have perseverance and focus. You always are doing a radar check to know the ecosystem around you, and you always work with the solutioning part of it, so that you know you need the right people around you and you know their strengths, and then you push hard to make that outcome come through. Because there is nothing called, I think we have to work. I always wake up every morning thinking something bad's going to happen. I never wake up thinking it's a glorious day, it's all perfect, it's all fine, I'm smiling. I never. Every day I'm thinking I'm on the back foot when I get up, right? I got to push today. I can't just sit back, otherwise something will happen. So I think that is one you train your mind over the years. So once you think you're on the back foot always, then you will push yourself forward. And once you push yourself forward, and then you find at the end of the day that it wasn't that bad a day. You're all right, right? You can gear up for the next day. So you've got to be you got to have that forward lens. That's why surprises irritate me, good or bad, because they take you away from a script. So I think that's that's what is. That's the DNA. That's the MO in terms of how it works.
So looking ahead and pushing ahead, Skewb is now entering its 8th year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What, Indu, is going to be key for you looking ahead to the next financial year? What are going to be some of the goals you're pushing for and areas you are going to be seeking improvements?
Yeah, this is a very not so simple question. So going forward as we're growing, right, setting that basics right, definitely as part of the support services, we are there to serve. So getting that basics right and getting that framework so that we can adapt it to when we scale to 1,000 people also would not be a challenge. So getting that foundations, and this is a real crucial year when we are getting closer to 250. And this is where we face, we don't know what's going to be like, it could, hoping we'll be rapidly growing after that. But there again, getting back to the basics and getting the foundations right, getting our processes and policies right, everything that we need to get people going and encourage them to grow is what we need to do, whether it's learning development or whether it's our basic policies, moving ahead with the legislation or getting our brand out there, or even getting the simple thing as getting the office right, facilities right. I think everything put together, it's a collective thing from a support services angle. If I look at, getting that foundations sorted.
Shashi, what about for you? What do you think will be key to our success?
I think improving the quality of talent we have and bringing in more leadership. I think that is absolutely a given. I think what we can't be is an average business doing average things. I think we can't. At the moment, we've got a heavy reliance on a top 10%. And by top 10%, I don't mean OPCO. I just mean there's 10% of differentiated talent in this business. I think there's roughly 70%, 80% of good to average talent in this business. And I still think we are carrying 10% of poor talent in this business, which line managers have to call out, people have to call out, performance improvement plans have to be in place, and we're not doing enough of that. So I think my view would be that this year I'm absolutely passionate that the top 10% needs to be 25%. Yeah, it's got to push up. The quality has to push up, and we will be absolutely non-compromising with that. And because what we don't want is, the good to average talent is required in every business. Yeah, don't get me wrong. They do a very good job, steady eddies. They keep things going. They work hard. They've got their priorities, and that is good enough. But as we grow, we can't just rely on 10% of talent to do that. Which means that if that other 15% to make it 25% doesn't sit in Skewb, we've got to laterally hire. And as we laterally hire, we will need to create capacity for that, which means we will need to get some of the poor talent and or average talent to say thank you to them and say that maybe our journeys are not the journeys, going forward. So this year is about that. I'm absolutely passionate that across 2-3 levels, I need hunger. I need people with desire. I think even when I had my CEO engagement earlier in the week, I was asked, what is it you look for in someone? It's desire, it's skills, capabilities, everything you can develop. Desire, you just can't develop. So for me, this year is very much about that 15% push on talent that is hungry, that has desire, that wants to push for themselves. And I think that is my call out to everyone who's sort of watching this podcast. Be very, very aware that we are going to change the fabric of that 10%, 80%, 10% in the scheme of things. So that poor talent of 10% has to be 5 to 10%. That's there everywhere, and that's seasonal, right? You can't, you can't put a binary weight to it. It will never be zero. Let's put it that way. Because what happens is, as the business scales up, someone or the other is not feeling that they're going to cut shape to it. So you will find the 5 to 10% everywhere. That broad mix of top 10% and the average 70 to 80% has to change. And if it doesn't change, then that 70 to 80% will have to create room for another 15% of laterals to come into the business, which we will look out for, not through a process, but through a combination of black books, through a combination of talent in the market, through a combination of headhunts, and to upskill the quality of the business. Because without hunger and desire, we are nothing. We are absolutely nothing, Jess. So I think that's why I keep banging my head about core values and the focus, and we can't drop our guard in seasonally through the year, because it is a tough market out there. I mean, I don't over-egg it. I was with BGF as part of their investor forum last November, and it was a real opening experience. I was saying to Indu, I mean, I thought we were selected as one of the businesses, and we just need to not look stupid in front of our investors and their investors. But it was amazing how negative the outlook was in the market. BGF have more funds than they can deploy because there aren't good enough businesses out there. And their investors are putting pressure on them, saying, why are you not investing enough? And implicitly, the question was to us CEOs, saying, why are you not hungry enough to create differentiated growth in an economy that is flat? So we've got to look at it much broader than the perspective of just our cadence and gas distribution and all of that. I mean, don't get me wrong, without our customers, we are nothing. But in terms of the proactive move, the proactive push, if we don't get to our fundamentals, learning, applying the learning, using marketing, branding at the peak. I mean, we are privileged to have a podcast studio, and, we did 100 podcasts recently and all of that stuff. It's got to go faster in the scheme of things, because otherwise we will not stay relevant. So we can't rely on the past to take us forward. We've published chapter 1, the beginning now, isn't it? So that phase is done now. So this year, people have to think chapter 2 is different than chapter 1. So always when you come into a sequel of a movie, you don't expect the same, isn't it? You want something different. So that's the difference. That's why we published chapter 1, the beginning. That phase is done. So when we come into April, I expect every Skewber is coming in saying it's different. So each one needs to do a reset. I've done a reset in my own head. Yeah, and that reset for me is pushing the pace and the bar and the quality of conversation even more to what we do. And so the reset is absolutely vital. So it is a proper reset for us this year, but it is a reset that says we are going to scale up much more ready, much more exponential, and get back to strengthening the fundamentals. So, all the stuff you said, Indu, I think is absolutely good. But we've got to dig deeper for ourselves. And that combination of talent that we have is going to have a reset this year. The proportions we are very, very clearly going to be looking at. I'm going to drive that one agenda right from the top. And that proportion of 10% of differentiated talent has to push up to 25% this year, either organically or inorganically. I mean, Jack coming into OpCo is one big step, and by God, he's made a difference, isn't it? We've seen him operate 2 weeks, and I was just reflecting last evening. I said, by God, I made the right choice, because that needs the clinicalness. And in 2 weeks and half a dozen meetings, I have felt the positive impact of Jack on OpCo. It's on him to sustain it. That's good, but he's got what it takes to push the bar. So we have talent in our own backyard, and someone like Jack is a very classic example where Skewbers should talk to him. Ask him when he joined us 4 years back, when he was a novice in the sector. How did he approach it? What did he want for himself? And the last 15 months that he's worked directly with Nick and me, how did he mentally calibrate his own journey through that? Because the one thing you see in the guy is hunger. He also has a young family. He also has a young child, and God bless, soon, it'll be more than one. But he works the balance. So why can we not create those avenues? Yet he doesn't forget his desire. He doesn't forget his ambition. He doesn't forget his wife works as well. So, they find a balance with making that happen. And I think there is a piece where you have to bring yourself to the party. Because when you do that, you create the opportunity for yourself to make the difference. Because we're still a young business, isn't it? So there's so much space to create your own routes. But I think that bit, that 10% moving up to 25% is my key focus this year, because the results will come as a consequence of it. There will be more pushes, we will do on the back of it. Like this week was the first week we set up that conversation on Tuesday, right, with the people who are doing go-to-markets. And it is the first time we captured that we have 60 plus conversations that are happening in the market through just small calibrations of moving people around, moving your Darren Vince Tracy around, Chris Rhodes has come in flipping. That's a brilliant, positive energy you sort of get from it. And then getting them to talk about the market contacts and what are the conversations we want them to happen pre-PMG means that we could just collate 60 plus conversations. And even I'm thinking, wow, 60 plus conversations in that window through that channel means we've got so much potential to sort of outreach. Then the hawk that you all did and the talents and the outreach on the back of it. So I think that bit we've got to keep the push now, because that has a positive effect on brand, positive effect on one's own, the more demos we do, the more conversations we have, the more it will train us with the narrative. It will push us to new areas, and we will push the scale up of the business and the brand. So
I totally agree. It's about finding those moments where you can start the ripple and then sustain it and follow it through. We were saying from Hawk, we got 50 plus followers on LinkedIn. The video's got nearly 1,000 views, and now they've got the demos booked, and now it's on us to kind of take that to the rest of Skewb and ride that ripple effect.
And we have a gap in the market. The gap in the market is everyone is saying it's tough. Actually, we're saying it's positive and we've got to go all out. We are contradicting, contravening the natural market flow. So imagine ocean current, right? Imagine waves. You're pushing against it. How much effort we need to push against it? It can't be the same effort, isn't it? Physics, what does it say, right? You have effort. You need more and enough effort on the other side to make that effort count. That's the law of physics. You can't change it. So to contravene a natural market trend, you have to give it more effort than what is required, because just staying still and giving it the equal amount of effort is not good enough, because what naturally the market is not doing is the market is not pulling you or giving you a weight. So you fly to the US, it takes you longer than when you fly back. Why? Because you get the wind behind you on the way back. There is no wind behind us in the market. So you have to give it 10 times more effort this year to do that. So it doesn't take long, and everyone should be reading newspapers and understanding what's happening in the market. So why is it suddenly that when I say put some more effort, it feels like, oh, the culture is changing? No, the culture is not changing. Flipping, let's just open our eyes wide to it. All it is we got to be aware of the market dynamics and calibrate accordingly and push the bar and give it more than enough effort against the contravening trends that we have to make our voice count, to make our presence count, to make the impact count. And I think that is what FY26 is about, Jess. It's got to make it count with that effort, and that we can do when everyone puts in their effort. So rather than 10%, if 25% put their effort, it's even better. Why 25%? If you had 50% put their effort, then it's even better, because it makes the top 10% be able to rest up a bit, isn't it? Otherwise, the same people are putting the same effort every day of the week, every week of the month, every month of the year, in the scheme of things, to keep us moving. And it is fair. I mean, I absolutely will not be controversial in saying that that there is that 10% differentiation in this business compared to the vast 80%, which comes in, does a good gig and moves on. But the good gig is good, but it is not enough to push the tide. So we need more effort to push the tide as we go forward. And I think that is what will continue to keep us be very relevant in this space.
Indu, looking beyond the next financial year to Skewb 10, 20, 30 years from now, you don't strike me as the couple who would sit by a pool and muse on what it could be, because you would just go out and make it. But as we look to the future, what are some of the things that excite you about Skewb?
Yeah, for me, definitely we won't sit back at 2030 by a pool somewhere holding a margarita, that sort of people, as you correctly said. But I'm looking, my vision is probably we'll have more Skewbers, of course, and we'll definitely would have traversed other geographies, which is something I'm really excited about. And we will have offices across Europe to begin with. By 2030 is what I'm hoping, at least one. So that's what I'm thinking. My vision is like, but basically for Skewbers to grow and our products to be more out there in the market, more customer segmentation. We have differentiated customers, not just from utilities, probably, hopefully. So these are the things that I'm thinking by 2030 we should achieve, and by God we'll hopefully achieve.
What does the Seshadri dinner table look like? Just for, I know I've gone a bit off piece here, but just for Skewbers who don't know you so well, what do evenings look like?
We are first come, first serve basis.
As a family, we don't.
On the weekend?
No, we don't.
You don't?
We just all
because you have teenagers.
Very different beasts in the scheme of things, and we are different people. I think we all have our own spaces to look at. I mean, we all, sometimes we do go out for a bite and all of that. But I mean,
Shraddha's birthday.
Yeah, that was brilliant, isn't it? That Monday evening was was lovely.
I think we connect mostly in front of the television. That's one place that sometimes we all come together.
Yeah.
Or which is very rare on a weekend, possibly on one of the days.
Especially when we watch James May's
Japan trip. So that's the thing, ongoing thing now. James May in Japan is something that's going on now. But mainly, I think we look forward to this August break. The only holiday we take is during the month of August. And we've started doing like a back-to-back holiday because we don't take during the Easter or any other half term. So that's something that we really look forward to, really bond during that time. I think otherwise, dinners are like, as you said, teenagers, and they have different times. And we all have different schedules on a Saturday as well.
We all like to eat different things
as well. So our house is always, the kitchen is always on in my house. And I'm always on in the kitchen station at least half a day. Half a day of my time on a Saturday, Sunday goes in kitchen. No, we do use. But I'm saying, because my children have taken so much takeaways and stuff, they prefer to eat at home these days. But that's one off. But I'm saying half a day is in kitchen is what. But then I'm saying the fire is always burning. But we don't eat
fire and the Wi-Fi.
You're kind of in a sweet spot right now as well, because Shraddha's obviously coming up to going off to university. Yeah. So your family dynamic is
going to change
soon.
Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to that, but
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm not like ready to let go of her. Yeah.
The thing, I was actually talking to GB last evening because his daughter Hanaya is the same age, and I know enough about Hanaya and Shraddha to understand how cutthroat they are with their point of views. I actually said if they were to be, if you fast forward that 10 years down the line, and they are going to be in the top 5% of talent in UK. Yeah. So, as long as everything goes well and they put their effort in and they continue to work hard as they've done and all of that. That 5% talent I want in Skewb, right? We need to make this enough attractive, for them to think, I'm not going there. Yeah. And for them to think, I want to go there. Correct? Then the fun exists. So for me, the thing is, even there, I look at business because I know that to get Shraddha to even think about a career here, it is a pitch. It is not one. Gone are the days when my mom would have said, "Oh, you had this percentage. That's it. You're just going."
It's the family business, yeah.
Gone are those days. So it is a pitch. It's a solid pitch to to make happen. So, when there's LinkedIn posts, there's this, that, we always put it in our family WhatsApp group. And it was quite nice. So, like I was saying this in my CEO engagement piece, I'll say it. So, a moment for me this week was, I was bringing her last Saturday from her friends in the morning, and I said to her, hey, you know what, there's this award thingy in May, and for the first time there's we have 3 nominations, and for the first time my name is potentially going to be up there. And she said, yeah, you'll win. And then she moved on to her next topic and this and that and stuff. But that stuck with me, and I was thinking, oof, he just said that. But she didn't just say it because she was appeasing me, because there are some times where she's deep. Shraddha never appeases anyone. So she just is absolutely dead straight with how she goes about things. The fact that she said that told me there's something more deep within it. And it's that bit which is the intellectual push we need to give. And that is the talent that we have to unlock in the future for us, because there's so many of these next gen talent where you have to see hunger. You got to push the hunger, and you've got to because their desires are very different. It's not my generation. I won't say your generation. It's not my generation. So when you have that in the mix, you've got to be getting that talent right up there in the scheme of things. So within the whole family environment, you've got to get the most out of it, because at the end we always say we want Skewb to be a place where our daughters, our sons, our nephews, nieces, cousins, family, they all can find a career to it. So the foundations have to be so good that they feel proud and we feel proud that they have a career with us, and it's a business that spans geographies and gives more career job opportunities and all of that.
Amazing.
I think that's what we should that's where we should go.
We have a few more minutes, so maybe time for one more question. I think it's really interesting that you met when you were a graduate, so literally starting in your career. You were 1 year into your career. It might be nice to end by sharing something you admire in each other that you've seen in your growth throughout your careers.
I think Indu is the perfect counterfoil. I'm a very, very deep introvert. I don't like socializing too much, so I don't get out there. I like my spaces, and I like to be with intellect that gives me a buzz, and I'm very selective about it. I don't like to.
What would you think? What would you say?
I'm not very good in environments pertaining to family, friends, you're socializing a lot and those sort of things. But equally, those are vital to be relevant in an ecosystem. So I think Indu's my perfect counterfoil for that, because she fronts up all of that so perfectly, and she enjoys it, that she actually makes us all relevant within the family. Otherwise, we're all deep introverts. We don't like to dabble in a lot of that that stuff. I think that's one thing which I admire, because you can do that 7 days of the week, and she can do it, and I can't. I get frustrated by it. But I think the other thing also is Indu is very strong. I think I don't give enough credit to that, but as long as you stand back and reflect, I think there is a lot of mental strength that goes with it, which is good. Those are some that I don't possess. I can be quite impulsive and less patient about how I go about certain things. So I think her belief ecosystem and her mental strength is it is deep. Yeah. So I think these are two things I do. There's a whole raft of things I don't like, but that wasn't the question.
I'll answer that.
Yeah, you
things that I don't like about. Now I can start with things that
the question, so I stuck to the brief.
Shall I? Yeah. Okay. Unfortunately, we have to stick to the brief. Yeah. So what I said what I said is always that he's very dedicated and focused. So that does mean that he's not at home as much as he should. Or when my kids, in the fundamental years of my kids, he was never around. I can clearly say that. He was never around when the kids were in primary school. It's never been.
Positives. We're doing the positives.
Yeah.
You don't need to say that
So-
three times in the
But
months.
what I'm trying to say is that but I appreciate the focus and the dedication he has towards his job and his work. And, I think over the years, he is also really, though he says that he's not like in that socializing bed, he's improved a lot. He really, now I can clearly say that he's more involved in my kids' life than I am sometimes. So that's been a big shift. But I think as we mature, like your 20 and your 30s and then your 40s, they're very different, right?
Yeah.
And you can clearly put this into perspective only when I think personally, only once you cross 40 is when you actually, because that's 20 to 30 is
We're not
40 is a
talking
big
about
space.
age here.
No, what I'm saying is it just makes you reflective as to where all the dedication and the focus have taken you ahead in your journey. So that's what I would say. I mean, he has always been very committed and very loyal to whatever he does. So that I really admire from 25 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. We got there in the end.
There was some compliment.
There was a just had to dig really deep past
Bravo.
the not there
Past
three
all
times.
that you and Ed
But there was.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? I'm looking for that moment, right? Like that's what is my rope. That's what I'm hanging on to. Forget about all this.
What I
Leave
thought
it.
Indu will say is anytime she says she wants to shop something, she gets it before she even...
That's something very personal, right? So he
But
showers
that
me
was a
with
personal
the.
question. You
Yeah,
asked.
he never. Yeah.
He's also a romantic at heart.
No.
Oh gosh.
You are.
25 years ago, yes.
He is. He had that canvas made.
What
The
canvas?
picture of the two of you. Okay.
Okay.
The Skewb
What's
backdrop.
Oh, okay. Right.
And then you just put it to the side.
No, it's at
on
home.
the floor somewhere.
No, it's at home.
On a
in
wall?
Yeah, on a wall in the kitchen, in the main living room of our basement. Yes.
The basement.
Where we are staying.
Proudly
3-0
displayed.
point.
In the
In
basement.
the basement.
On one wall.
Okay, we will leave it there because we're out of time.
Thank
But
you.
Indu, Shashi, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you so
Thank
much,
you,
yeah.
Indu, for joining us for the Chit Chat.
Thank you, both of you, for having me.